We're going to get started. First meeting of the year, the city clerk gets to call the meeting to order. So this is my one and only chance here. And we're going to start off by swearing in Mayor Roberts for another term of office. And it was a great privilege that I do that. And we'll get started.
You want to run the meeting? I'd like to see you do the whole meeting. Yes, you can.
Yes, you can. Okay, come on down here. As you say, I'm going to swear at you one more time.
Just don't freeze.
Just don't freeze. All right, repeat after me. I, and state your name,
I, Rick Roberts,
swear or affirm
swear or affirm
that I will faithfully perform
that I will faithfully perform
the duties of mayor
the duties of mayor
of the city of Fall
of the
Ground,
city of Arbor Day,
and that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the charter thereof,
the charter thereof,
as well as the Constitution
as well as the Constitution
and laws of the state of Georgia
and laws of the state of Georgia
and of the United States of America.
and of the United States of America. Thank you. Let's see, how many times has this happened?
About 30 times.
No, only about 20.
Well, that's right.
You used to have two-year terms.
That's right. And you were on council and all too. So anyway, that's been done several times.
Thank
And
you.
if good Lord's good enough to, this will be the last time I'll swear in a mayor. So,
Well, then you can run for mayor.
no.
Thank you.
All right. Christine?
I, Christine Rogers,
Swear or affirm
swear or affirm
that I will faithfully perform
that I will faithfully perform
the duties of council member
the duties of council member
of the city of Fall Ground,
of the city of Fall Ground,
and I will support and defend
and that I will support and defend
the charter thereof,
the charter thereof,
as well as the Constitution
as well as the Constitution
and the laws of the state of Georgia
and the laws of the state of Georgia
and of the United States of America.
and of the United States of America.
Congratulations. Okay, Dennis. Okay. All right, we'll try again here. I, repeat your name,
I, Dennis Johnson,
swear or affirm
swear or affirm
that I will faithfully perform
that I will faithfully perform
the duties of council member
the duties of council member
of the city of Fall Ground,
in the city of Albany,
and I will support and defend
and I will support and defend
the charter thereof,
the charter thereof,
as well as the Constitution
as well as the Constitution
and laws of the state of Georgia
and laws of the state of Georgia
and of the United States of America.
and of the United States of America.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order now that I can officially do it. Let me welcome Chris and Dennis Vicki, she's a long-term council member already, but we're glad to have her on board too. Let me go ahead again, call the meeting to order. Would you join me in standing and pledging allegiance to our flag?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, you have a copy of the agenda. Any changes to be made to the agenda?
No, sir.
If not, let me have a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the
Okay, motion by Vicki, second by Chris. All in favor? All opposed? Okay, that's unanimous. Do we have anybody on the appearance list tonight?
Somebody.
Okay.
Wanted to recognize friends that came out for this, and I really appreciate it. Also have a special guest, Ms. Pam Wiggins. She's with the Georgia Department of Corrections.
Okay, we've got three people that have signed up to speak. Let me start with Adam Rosen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members, good evening, and congratulations to those of you who've been sworn in. Is it okay for me to take my mask off while I speak, or I'll keep it on and start there. I represent Lloyd Development Services in the rezoning and annexation applications that are pending before you tonight. The annexation is on tonight for a second reading, and a little bit of history quickly. We originally filed both the annexation and rezoning applications last year, June or July of last year. We were before council at that time for the annexation, and then prior to the Planning Commission in Cherokee County, we withdrew the rezoning application and tabled the annexation so that we could work with the city and work with the community and revise our plan for the rezoning component. We did that and reapplied in November of last year, and were heard by the Planning Commission last week, and then now we're back on tonight for a second reading, and for the first time for the rezoning itself with the revised plan. I sent in earlier today, mostly nothing new, but a summary and kind of a highlight of a lot of the things that we think are important about our application and why we think that it's appropriate, but also kind of to give you a background of it and to catch you up to where we are. I call this in large part a stipulation letter, because what we've done is we've put in writing the things that your applicant has promised to do in this development if it's approved, which means that if they are approved and come to staff with a plan, it's got to look like this plan that we've presented, and it has to act like this plan. It has to have the same components. It has to have the same architecture and all the other things that we've presented to you. And so we're not just saying that that's what we're going to do. We put it in the form of a letter to you that's binding on them and binding on the property, so that you know that it's going to happen the way that we've said it's going to happen. And so we feel like that's largely important, because you know that you're approving something, and you know that the way it's approving something the way it's going to be as you approved. So the beginning of our letter, we talked a lot about the property itself, why it's appropriate for the T&D zoning that we've requested, why it's appropriate for the density that we've requested and the number of homes that we've requested, which was significantly different than the original application. They originally applied for 239 homes of townhomes and detached homes, and it's now 135 only detached homes. And the density now is 3.38, was closer to 6 units per acre when we originally applied. We also pointed out a lot of the staff comments that agreed with our opinion that a lot of the components of your plan and what you expect to see on this property is consistent with what we've presented to you with our application. I know you've already received this, and so I won't go through everything, but then the stipulations in here include all of the things that we've promised to do. A landscape plan that includes buffering and fencing for our adjoining property owner that we've talked to him about and put that in writing. We've included the architecture, the renderings that we submitted before. We've promised that those are consistent with what we will actually build if approved. We've promised to include a mandatory association and covenants that go along with that association. So we put all that in here so you know that that's actually going to happen if approved. We presented to you a revised site plan. One thing that we needed to correct was the access driveway north of us for our adjoining property owner. We inadvertently were showing a curb in front of that access drive, so we corrected that to remove it. We've included that in our stipulation that we will never impede that access. So we corrected those things. We clarified that for you and for our neighbor. I also included the neighborhood living comprehensive plan in what I handed to you earlier, because that highlights that T&D is appropriate, and that T&D is appropriate up to 6 units per acre. And so we're at the very bottom of that range. And it also talks about the character area and the changes and the transition towards downtown ball ground and how we're appropriate by the location that we're in. And then the rest of that is the presentation that we made before the Cherokee County Planning Commission. I think most of that is either covered in our letter or I've talked about tonight, so I won't go back through it again. But on Tuesday, we submitted to you a request to continue this application until February. Unfortunately, it's been a quicker process transitioning over from the refiling of the end of last year. You as a council not being appointed, and some of you until tonight. We weren't able to be at the work session on Monday night. And we think we have some work that still can be done to this plan, still discussions with our adjoining property owners. So ultimately our request tonight, we'd love to see these applications approved and move forward. But ultimately I think our request tonight is that you allow us another opportunity until February to have a final decision at that time. And that request was made on Tuesday to you. So Mr. Lloyd is here. And hopefully between the two of us, if you have questions, if that's appropriate for tonight, we're happy to answer those. But thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Adam. Dan Pritchett. Welcome, Dan.
Hi, well, thank you for allowing me to speak this evening. The concerns that I have with this development needs to be understood when taken into consideration the impact it will have when coupled with other projects already in the works and near future developments. While the traffic studies I've heard individually seem to handle each project, I'm sure when in total, Ball Ground Highway will not be able to support the influx of vehicles without causing some problems. In the mile or so between Howell Bridge Road and Ladd Apparel, you have Mr. Lloyd's 135-unit development, a project underway across from this proposal, Sage Hill subdivision, and to my understanding, a housing project was approved for at the corner of Howell Bridge Road and Ball Ground Highway. You have traffic coming from the apartment complex using Northridge Road, and add to these a proposal to allow for a large distribution facility that has parking for 380 employees per shift, not to mention the constant flow of semi-trucks throughout the day and night is in the works. Once the truck route is diverted to Howell Bridge Road, even more traffic will be bottled up at this intersection. Now, I understand that this area and all above ground will change with its growth. But if the infrastructure is already at a level where rapid additions could lead to negative results without significant updates or additions, then why rush? I'm asking that the zoning for this development remain as is. There's nothing wrong with low-density housing, excuse me, to match with what is currently in the area, keeping some semblance of the rural atmosphere that drew many of us. Thank you for the chance to address this issue, and congratulations to the newly elected members.
Thank you, Dan. Okay, Mike Russell, welcome.
Hello. I'm just going to speak on the annexation portion of the 13 acres. I'm the neighbor at 285. 2/3 of my property will be surrounded by this project I got with the developer. He is going to do a portion of privacy fence on the back of my property since it's right up against it, and the paving of the driveway that all three properties share. So I can't unwind the clock. This isn't what we all signed up for, but if this project is approved, the city of Ball Ground, with the 13 acres, would not get the tax revenue without the annexation. And the development will still be built with the same density of housing. So the vote for the annexation for the city of Ball Ground is more advantageous for taxation purposes for something that's already approved. So going forward, due to my employment, I talked to way too many residents of Ball Ground. The developing and the way the city is expanding, I haven't found anybody that's a, heck yeah, this is where we need to be on these projects. Traffic, of course, we've already talked about that. So got over 300 city constituents. When I started tracking this, I didn't know I should at the time, but I kept getting asked at work, hey, what's going on, what's going on, what's going on? I started asking what's going on. And of course, my property was next on the hit list to get a subdivision. So that's what the buzz is in the city with our constituents and city, our small city. We like to keep it small going forward. And really, good luck with the new council. And hopefully we can keep Ball Ground small and Ball Ground what we all moved here for. It was not to, we'd be in Woodstock if we wanted Woodstock. We'd be in Atlanta if we wanted Atlanta. We come here for small city, raise our families. So thank you.
Hey, Mike, where do you work?
Cherokee Feeding Seed.
Okay.
I load everybody's truck for them here.
Well,
Yeah.
I think you have mine too. All right, thank you. All right, well, that's all the people we've had to sign up to speak. So at this time, we'll move toward the announcements from Eric. Get closer.
Just a few announcements. Our 2022 calendar is ready to go to publication for all the city events. We have a next work session, be January 27th. That's 2 weeks prior to the next council meeting. Our planning retreat scheduled for March 12th at the Senior Center. So we will be here in town. And then the final note, Karen got to swear everybody in tonight, but it's also her birthday.
What? Sorry, I don't have that on my calendar. Well, happy birthday, Karen. What is it, like 50? You 50 yet? Okay, we'll move on to approval of the meetings from the December 9th meeting. Everybody received those minutes. Any changes? If not, motion to approve the minutes. Motion by Andy,
Second.
second by Vicky. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We have 3 items of old business. We'll move to the first one, and this is to consider the second reading of the application for an alcohol license for Ball Ground Tavern. Eric, any feedback since our first reading?
No, sir. All background, everything is fine. Application standards have been met and is zoning compliant.
And I think we understood that they plan to open in February, maybe?
What they're shooting for.
All right, can I have a motion to approve the second reading, the alcohol license for Ball Ground Tavern?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion by Dennis,
Second.
second by, I'm going to call you Chris, is that right? I said Christine. All right. Okay, any comments or discussion? All in favor? Okay, that's unanimous, and so that's now, that license is approved. All right, the second item of old business is the second reading of the annexation petition. This is for Lloyd Development. Adam spoke to us earlier. He has requested, or the developer has requested that we consider putting the vote off, discussion off until next month. But I was up to the council. Is anybody in favor of doing that? Okay, there's a motion by Andy to table. Is there a second? Okay, a second by Lee. Any discussion? Comments? Okay, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Three people? All opposed? One nay?
No, I didn't say no. I said aye.
Oh, okay, four yes and one nay, okay. So the motion passes. So we'll now move that annexation and the rezoning consideration until February. Any comment, Eric?
No, sir.
Daryl? Okay. So we'll be considering the annexation and rezoning in February for that particular project. Next item is the consideration of the second reading of the annexation petition for 275 Old Dawsonville Road. Could I ask for a motion to approve that annexation? Okay, motion by Andy. Is there a second? Okay. Second, is there any further discussion? Questions? And we had a presentation. Okay. All in favor of the motion to approve the annexation?
I do have one question.
All right.
When do the improvements that do they plan on starting to make those improvements to Old Dawsonville?
Under the stipulations, if we choose those stipulations, then the funds towards the improvement, the city's going to do the widening improvement. They would have to pay the funds towards that if this is accepted at the time they get their permit to begin disturbing land. Okay. The road improvements they would be responsible for under this, which is the left-hand turn lane, the four-way beacons, either the sidewalk or the crosswalk would have to be done before the first building permit is issued. And that's, like I say, if you all accept these conditions.
Any more comments, questions? All in favor of the motion? Okay, all opposed? Okay, that's unanimous. Approved. We'll move now to new business. The first item under new business is the appointment of the mayor pro tem. As mayor, I get to appoint the committees, but I only recommend, make recommendations for the pro tem, and I would like for the council to consider placing Dennis Nelson in as pro tem. And if there's an agreement, I'll ask for someone to make a motion to accept him as pro tem.
I'll happily make that motion.
Okay, Vicky? Chris is second. Any comments or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Congratulations.
Thank you.
You'll let me miss some meetings.
Not too many.
No, it's, Dennis does have a lot of experience in actually presiding over meetings and being involved in different boards and things. So I think you'll be a good person to take over when necessary. So
Thank you.
congratulations. The next item is the committee appointments, and let me pass this out. I printed this up, so if there are any mistakes in it, let's see. Give one to Darryl. For this year, I'm advocating Roads and Streets and Sidewalk Committee to be chaired by Vicky, along with Andy on the committee, and the staff contact would be Chris Lully. Water, Sewer, and Sanitation, I'm asking that Dennis Nelson chair that. Lee would be on that committee, and Eric would be the staff contact. Parks and Rec, I'm asking Lee to get experience in another category. Ask you to chair the Parks and Rec Committee along with Vicky. And Karen, you'll be the staff contact there. Finance, Insurance, and Personnel, Andy, I'd like you to chair that again. Christine, you serve on that. Donna England, our finance officer, will be the staff contact. And for Public Safety, I'm asking Christine to chair that committee, Dennis to serve on it, and also Chief will be the staff member contact. So I'm asking for those are my recommendations. I'm asking you to approve those committees. Okay, motion by Dennis, second by Chris. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Our committees, I hope, will be very active this year. Sometimes, particularly during the pandemic, we haven't been able to do much meeting on the side, but hopefully this will clear up and be better. Another thing I want to bring up is normally we cover the approving the executive committee, and this year though, since we now have a full-time planner on board, and at this point I want to ask that we suspend the committee until further notice, and we can talk about that at our retreat as far as see if we need it. It was originally designed because things were different when we didn't have a full-time planner on board, and also now we're looking at probably Chris will be handling a lot of decisions that the committee was making, and then we'll be involving the council more in making any kind of density decisions. So I'm pointing that out, that we're not going to be voting on that. I'm going to ask too that we have a need to appoint a new DDA, a council member to Downtown Development Authority, and I would like to recommend it be Vicky, and ask for a motion to approve Vicky as the DDA rep. Motion by
Second.
Chris, second by Dennis. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
We also need to appoint our city judge. Gary Markwell has been with us for how many years? 25? We may be looking at making a change, but for now, we need to reappoint him, I would say at least for 6 months. And I would ask a motion to approve Gary Markwell for a 6-month contract. Motion to approve?
I'll second.
Andy and Vicki, all in favor? Okay. So pass that on to Gary that he's been reappointed. The next thing we're doing is, we've had a mention tonight of the Planning Commission, and we've had Lee Luss to serve the last 2 years. We have decided now to make that term be 2 years, and I'd like to suggest that we appoint Scott Barnes back on the Planning Commission. He served for a number of years, but very experienced, and I'd like to get the council to approve appointing Scott.
I'd like to make that a motion.
Okay, Vicki, second, Kim. Second, you made the motion, Vicki made it, and Chris made the second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so Scott, welcome back. We're going to keep you on the ZBA too. But the next item, the board that we need to approve is our tree board. Ball Ground was the first tree city in the county. We're into what now? 30, how many years? 31 years, Karen?
31 or 32.
And so part of being a tree city is we have to celebrate Arbor Day. We have to have a tree board. We have to spend money on trees. But we do that, I'd like to reappoint the existing tree board made up of the Garden Club president, Sally, you're here, right? And Jenny Byers, Dennis Holt, and Karen Jordan to be the tree board. Can I have an approval of those nominees? All right, Chris says.
One second.
Okay, Dennis, okay, all in favor of that tree board?
Aye.
Okay, so appreciate people being involved in that. And also, the last thing for us to talk about is our zoning board of appeals. I want to suggest that we just reappoint our existing board, David Kabbalah, Daniel Sisson, Jenny Byers, Scott Barnes, and Stephanie Joyner. A motion to approve? Okay, motion by Andy, second by Chris. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I think that's all the appointments we need to do. Have we left out anything, Eric?
I don't believe so.
Okay, thank you. The first meeting of the year, we have kind of like a rubber stamp of things we have to approve. And so one of them is Reaffirm check signers. I think Eric mentioned that at the work session of the night. You want to go over that again?
Yes, sir. We're looking to reappoint the same check signers we've had. Authorized on the accounts now are Mayor Roberts, the city clerk, the chief of police, and myself. We'd also ask that the same stipulation be continued, that any check over $500 would require 2 of the signatures on the account.
Okay, motion. Can I have a motion to approve that? Andy? Second. Dennis? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. The next item is something we have to do every year, even when we don't have elections. We will have an election at the end of this year, but that is establishing and fixing the qualifying fees for elections. In that case, it'll be $108 for mayor and $35 for council. So again, that's just something we, like a board, we have to do every year. So I ask you to approve that. Motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Andy, second. Chris, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. At the work session the other night, I think we mentioned everybody received a copy of the zoning map. again, this map is something that we approve every January. So any questions about it? If you look at the map, you can see the original core city of the core city was half-mile radius circle. You see in the middle. But could I actually get a motion to approve the zoning map as presented? Motion by Kim. I don't know if I call you Kim. I'm embarrassed. You actually look like a friend of mine named Kim. All right, second. Motion by Chris, second by Andy. All in favor? Aye. I'd mentioned being a tree city, we have to have a tree board. We also have to actually do a Arbor Day proclamation, and usually we do a tree planting at that time and designated as an Arbor Day planting. And in Georgia, Arbor Day is the third Friday in February, so that'll be 2/18, the 18th of February, and we'll be putting together a public tree planting for that particular day, but we have to designate February the 18th as Arbor Day. Could I have a motion to do so? Andy, second. Chris? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. But again, we'll be publicizing where we're doing the planning, and again, I'm proud that we're the oldest city in the county as a tree city. All right, the next item under new business is application to extend the Valley Overlay District. That's 11 acres. 11 acres on Dawsonville. We've had a presentation earlier. Any comments or questions? Otherwise, I'll just ask for a motion to approve the extension of the Valley Overlay District as requested. Okay, Andy, second.
I guess my question is if it wasn't approved, what difference would it make on the building? It would still be the same, they would still.
They could get the same number of units.
Right.
They would have to do different lot sizes. So instead of having some of their larger lots that are acre and a half, I think they have one or two that are a little over 2 acres. They would have to cut them all down to be the same 3/4 acre lot or 1 acre lot units. So what
Just
number?
Just in that part that's now extended into the overlay, correct?
Correct, only in that part, because what's in the overlay, they could vary their lot sizes and achieve the density.
There's also architectural control too.
Right.
Anything the overlay, the city has to approve the architecture.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Andy made the motion, I need a second. Okay, second by Vicky. Any further discussion or comments or questions? All in favor? Including the,
This would be the time if you wanted, I'm sorry, this would be the time if you wanted to include the
Include.
stipulations.
Right.
The motion would need to include that.
let's rescind your second and your motion and make another motion to approve as long as these conditions as provided by the developer are included in the overlay extension. Okay. All right, so again, we all have a copy of these conditions that they agreed to do as part, in return for extending the overlay. So let's make sure we include those in the motion. So Andy, could you want to?
Rescinding, so I make a note, don't we have to finish that one up first?
Well, I rescinded it. It's not, it wasn't voted on. But I ask for a motion now to approve the extension of the overlay, including the conditions given by the developer.
Motion to approve with the potential conditions for Fifth Valley Overlay District extension.
Okay. Motion made. Is there a second? And Vicky, a second. Okay, any more discussion or comments? Okay, all in favor? All opposed? Okay, that's unanimous, so it passes. The last item under new business is the rezoning of the Lloyd property. That will be put off until February as well. So that will conclude all items in new business. Anything, Eric, that we need to act on that?
No, sir.
Okay. Eric, you ready to give us your
Yes, sir. Each of you should have a
show?
written copy of the financials. We encourage you always to look through those. You have any questions at all, feel free to reach out directly to Donna or to myself. Our fund balances between combined funds are at $2.56 million. Of that, we must note that the fire, Mountain Fire, $380,977 is strictly a pass-through. We collect that, and it is paid at the end of the year to Cherokee County for the fire services. Our December 21 revenue and expenses, general fund, our revenue is at $476,000, made up predominantly from collection of property taxes, against expenses of $176,000. SPLOST revenue for the month was $57,811 against expenses of $80,641. Our utilities revenue for the month was at $129 against expenses of $184. Year to date, we are positive cash flow in each of our funds. Our annual audit has been complete. It is a clean audit opinion. All of our end-of-year reports have been filed with the state. The representative from Malden and Jenkins will be here at the February council meeting to give a full presentation to mayor and council. Our calendar of events, starting in April, we'll have an event a month. We're starting out with an event by the Downtown Development Authority on April 30th, a Barbecue and Brews Festival downtown. These cards have gone to print, and once they're at print, we'll get them circulated, be on the website. We'll get them to businesses downtown so folks have the word about the events coming up in the city. We've started our budget preparation schedule for our upcoming fiscal year. It begins July 1st. We're developing the proposed budget now, and we'll have it to Mayor Roberts by the 15th of February. Target is to have it to council by February 28th. Be able to go over it in detail during our planning retreat. We'll be shooting for a first reading of the budget in April, adoption in May, and again effective July 1st. Project updates, police station groundbreaking. We're trying to coordinate a date right now, but groundbreaking will be the first week of February. We're also under the referendum obligation on SPLOST to build a new community center. This is our first experience with a state contract, but if all goes well with this contractor and the state contract, we could theoretically roll it right into a design build of the community center. Roads and streets. We received the proposal this afternoon. Last month, council authorized $25,000 for a downtown traffic study. Received that proposal this afternoon. We're going through it now to make sure it has everything in it we need, and we'll get moving on that comprehensive study. The guardrail project that's been in the makes for quite a while on Old Canton Road and Commerce Lane The county is anticipating project limit stakes should go in the next 3 to 5 weeks. They're also working with Martin Marietta to try to get dirt. There's going to be an extensive amount of fill requirement at that area because there's no shoulder now. So they have to get a lot of fill and then get a guardrail in at that location. Road paving priorities. We've updated our list and filed our documents with GDOT for some LMIG grant funding as well. But we're targeting Cartersville Street for May of '22, as soon as weather breaks. McCann Street, May of '22. Lowry Street and Northridge Road, targeting for paving in September, in the fall of '22. So the first two is actually in the budget we're currently operating in. The next two will be proposed in the new budget. Our pending GDOT requests and actions, the crosswalk at Laren Walk Drive continues to drag on. However, we do have that in the traffic study proposal that's on my desk now. We'll assess this intersection also and see if we can't come up with the data on our own to speed that process along with GDOT. The right turn lane widening and traffic light at the traffic light State Route Business 5 and 372 is now out to bid. And the materials are on hand. GDOT is trying to get their work schedule for the drainage project in the vicinity of 420 Gilmer Ferry. That was a joint project with GDOT performing the labor and the city providing the materials. Again, the traffic study will provide more information at the intersection of Old Dawsonville Road, Valley Street, and Gilmer Ferry downtown to try and push along the four-way stop at that interchange to help traffic get out onto State Route 372 in that area. But that request is also still pending with GDOT.
Can I ask something on that there?
Yes, ma'am.
That'll probably take a while to get that done. In the meantime, you have some parallel parking that impedes, especially when you're coming up Old Dawsonville to 372 on the right, that one parallel spot there.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in a lower, trying to see, to make that shoot across the valley, on eliminating that parking spot until maybe something's done with the four-way stop, because it's, you know, some of those, and I think over by the ice cream shop too, there's one real close to it. Just, it's very hard to see when you're wanting to, you know, shoot across that road to
Gotcha.
see what's coming, especially if it's a big truck or SUV that's parked there.
Okay.
Has that, I know we've discussed that before, but
Right.
I don't think it's been eliminated as of yet.
Well, no, it hasn't. And if mayor and council are in agreement they want them eliminated, we can take action to eliminate them. I think what we would do initially, if it's our desire, we would just put some barricades in place, maybe some of the, order a couple of the water-filled or sand-filled barricades, so that when it becomes a four-way stop, it could possibly be reopened and get two spots back. But if mayor and council would like to do that, we could order those barricades and close it as soon as they come in.
Well, we have put in additional parking in that vicinity too.
Right.
So why don't, I mean, I know what you're talking about because I've experienced it myself. And if we can do that as a temporary basis until hopefully we can get a four-way stop placed at that interchange, I just go ahead and ask the council to make a motion to approve removing those two parking spots at this point. Motion by Chris, second. By Andy. Any more comments or discussion? All in favor?
Has there been any possibility of looking at mirrors added there too? Whether, I don't even know whether there's a pole there that would work for drivers on Valley Street and Old Dawsonville to be able to see both ways on Gilmer. I don't know which would
I-
be easier.
I know there's a pole on the old Dawsonville side close, but I'll look at that in the morning.
Those are really blind areas, so they're bad.
Okay, we can try to act on that as soon as we find out what we can do as far as the availability of locations for mirrors. But for right now, let's go ahead and approve closing off those 2 parking spots. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all opposed? Okay. I guess that's an item of new business that we've added. So,
Cherokee County has issued an RFP for engineering services, or at least we're in the process of doing that this week, for sidewalk design between William Court and Tom Avery Drive on the west side of Old Dawsonville. Their initial in-house estimate is that the cost would approach $500,000 for curb, gutter, sidewalk, and storm drain through that section. But the first step will be get an engineer to design it, get some price takeoffs, and then see if we can't work on some grant funding or some funding with the county to close that in. Staff is currently evaluating also the potential of a greenway from North Ridge Road at 372 to the vicinity of Cherokee Village Court. Met with a property owner that owns that property through there and is receptive to having a trail. It would all be on his property. It would be Dan Homiller's property. But would do a greenway, but it would give Cherokee Village a connection to downtown that did not put them next to the trucks on 372. Business activities, we emailed out about this a couple weeks ago. Waste management is struggling right now with keeping staff through COVID. So far, our services have remained up to par. We've slipped in a couple areas, but they're doing everything they can to keep the city well served. We have submitted a new request to the Cherokee County Water and Sewer Authority for 30,000 additional gallons per day of water and an additional 30,000 gallons per day of sewage. That is paid for out of the capacity fees that we collect on new development. As you're aware also, we did change our water source. We're operating predominantly off Cherokee County Water and Sewer Authority purchased water now from the Etowah River as we make arrangements to replace our well pump. The motor is in. It is confirmed that the piping is on the yard at HD Supply. So we're just lacking a couple of pieces. The well seal is here. So hopefully next week, everything will finally get here and we'll pull the top off of the well house and get that changed out. Contractor is anticipating it'll be one extremely long day, but the last thing they want to do is open up the well and not be able to finish it. So even if everything got here this week, we probably wouldn't start with the weather looking like it is this weekend and that uncertainty. Storm readiness, looks like this weekend, just sent out just before the meeting the latest update from the EOC. The models are still kind of all over the place. But as we go into this, the number one priority that we will have in Public Works will be keeping water to every home. Second priority is keeping sewage leaving every home. And our third priority is the streets. Typically, we can do these things concurrently, but any type of issue with water or sewer will take priority, and we get into streets as we can. We do have 2 contractors that are ready to help if needed with tractors and scrape blades. But again, if we get the ice amounts that they're talking about, the scrape blades don't do that much for it. Planning and zoning, the plans have been approved for the convenience store that'll be coming in at the intersection of State Route 372 and Business 5 at the traffic light. Plans have also been approved for the Eastwood Homes neighborhood project that's coming in the property just south of the 4-way stop on Ball Ground Highway. And staff is also processing the rezoning application for Suncap from AG to LI on Ball Ground Highway. That's the distribution facility. There's requesting that'll go to the, it's already been sent to the Planning Commission. The planning retreat for March 12th at the Senior Center. So far on the agenda, we have the tree protection ordinance, the historic preservation ordinance, evaluation of the Valley Overlay District, budget, housing limits. We've talked in the past about setting limits or goals on what the city will look like as single-family detached versus how many apartment units versus how many town units, to make sure that we don't get too much of any one product. And staff is already pulling data from the surrounding jurisdictions on their fee schedules and permit schedules. The last thing I have this evening is a request coming to the mayor and council from the Downtown Development Authority. The city years ago trademarked our slogan, Ball Ground Rocks. The DDA is a component unit of the city and is actually an arm of the city. But as a trademarked item, they can't use that slogan without express permission of mayor and council. With the two festivals coming up and also the concerts, one of the things that they want to do for fundraising is to be able to sell T-shirts or mugs or other things with that statement on it. So the new chairperson of the DDA is Sherry Little, and I received a request from her this morning that mayor and council consider granting authorization for them to use your trademarked slogan.
Okay, is there any objection to that by any council members? Could I just have a vote in favor of it?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion by Vicky,
Second.
second by Chris. All in favor? That's something that I was always very proud of, that we trademarked that term. And we actually can tell people not to use it, that we don't approve using it because it's ours. And if you look, well, it's gone now. If you looked up there on the screen, you see the tiny little TM by rocks? That shows that it's actually legally, we own the trademark for it. So certainly the DDA needs to be able to use it. So I'm glad we approved that. Anything else, Eric?
That is it, sir.
Thank you. I was going to mention the retreat, but you did that already. But I'm very happy that Karen came up with the idea of actually using the senior center for that retreat. How many of you have been in the senior center? Everybody? It's a nice open area that right in the middle of downtown, that I think will be a good location for our retreat. And so that was a good idea, Karen. We originally thought about going out of town, but that's a good location. And as we work on the agenda, anybody on the council that wants to include something else for discussion, let us know. We may be bringing in somebody, one or two people, to make a brief presentation. But again, we're putting that together, but I'm looking forward to it. It's a good way, particularly for the new council members, to kind of get a handle of everything we're involved in more so, and planning for the future. Let me mention too about the committees. In the last couple of years, because of the pandemic, we haven't been able to do much meeting, but hopefully if this improves, I'd like us to start having a presentation from each chairman, one at every meeting. Probably can't start it until April or May, when we hopefully will get better pandemic-wise. But if you would, just what you're the chairman of, if you would put together a meeting and a presentation for the whole council, I think that'd be very important to make the committees more valuable. So
Will this be a presentation for a work session or a regular council meeting?
it could be a regular council meeting. So it would be, again, nothing, not to take up the whole meeting, but just to I want us to be active with the committees, because we've kind of gotten inactive because in the last few years. And the committee is important for coming up with ideas and fixing problems that in the area of the committee. So I'd appreciate you doing that. Lee, anything you want to bring up tonight? Chris? Dennis?
Again, thank you to everybody. This long road to get here, but we're happy to be here. We're happy to see some of the good changes in the city. You're seeing a lot of transparency, a lot of information coming out that we want to make sure that everybody's involved in what happens here. And I appreciate the city staff who have worked well with us on our transition, at least speaking on my behalf, and I believe Chris and Vicki experienced the same, but thank you very much.
I second.
Anything you want to add, Vicki?
No, Dennis said he
Okay.
did very well.
Andy?
No, we just, say welcome to all of our new people.
Well, I agree. Looking forward to, we've had Ballground's had a history of having a good council that worked together and worked for the benefit of the city. So I'm glad to have our new members on board, and I think you'll make a positive contribution. At this point, let me open up the floor. Anybody want to address the council on anything that you've thought of since we've been here? If not, let me get a motion to adjourn. Okay. Thank you for attending the meeting, and new members, welcome on board.